Welcome, my weird witches. You've found Raven's Lorecast, where folklore, fire, and a little fierce honesty all meet in the same cauldron. I'm Raven Lorekeeper, storyteller, witch, and your unapologetic guide through myth, magic, and all the places the world told you not to wander. This podcast exists because magic deserves to be honest. Witchcraft deserves to be inclusive, and every one of us who grew up other deserves a place to finally exhale. So pour yourself something comforting, settle in, and remember, the world may not have been built for us, but the magic, oh, the magic was. Take a breath with me, weird ones. There you go. In and out. Now tilt your head a little. Yeah, like that. Do you feel it? That tiny tug behind your ribs, that flicker in your chest, that whisper of, oh, I'm not just one thing. Good. Don't ignore it. That's today's threshold calling you by name. Tonight, we're talking about duality, but not the watered down horoscope meme kind. I mean the real thing. The kind the ancestors carved into the sky because they knew you'd need the reminder someday. Tonight, we're talking about the magic of being more than one truth at a time. And since I know my audience, my queer folks, my trans babes, my non-binary beauties, my gender-fluid shapeshifters, my two-spirit kin, my I contain multitudes, and also a little chaos people. Just scoot your beautiful selves closer, because this episode, this one is yours. Let me ask you something slightly illegal. Have you ever felt like the world gave you only one choice when your soul came with an all of the above? Have you ever felt like you were too much, or too many, or too confusing, or too fluid, or too loud, or too contradictory, or too hard to understand? Sweetie, that wasn't your flaw. That was your divinity showing. What the world calls confusing is usually just someone living beyond the limits of someone else's imagination. And in case no one told you this week, you are under no obligation to make your identity digestible for a world with the palate of untoasted white bread. Not today, not ever. So let's get mischievous, because threshold magic, real threshold magic, isn't polite, it isn't obedient, it doesn't wait for permission or consensus or an approved label. Threshold magic looks you in the eye and says, I dare you to be all of yourself at once. And tonight, I'm taking that dare right alongside you. Because the story we're stepping into next, the story of Gemini, of Castor and Pollux, of two souls bound by devotion instead of destiny. That story holds a truth our world desperately needs. You do not have to slice yourself into a single shape to deserve love, belonging, or existence. You can be light and shadow. You can be mortal and divine. You can be fierce and soft. You can be masculine, feminine, neither, both, or something entirely your own. You can be two things, 10 things, a million things, and still be whole. Castor and Pollux knew the truth so deeply, they refused the gods' demand to choose. And tonight, we're putting our boots on their path. So, weird ones, Shake out your shoulders, loosen your jaw, let your breath settle low and warm, because we are about to cross into a story where identity is not a cage, but a constellation. A story where love breaks cosmic laws, where fate gets rewritten, where duality becomes power, where being more than one thing is not a problem, but a portal. Follow me into the mist. The twins are waiting. Take a breath, weird one. Feel that little tug behind the breastbone? That split-second flicker of, oh, there are two truths inside of me at the same time. That's the twins rising. Gemini is not about fickleness. Gemini is not two-faced. Gemini is the cosmic reminder that you can be more than one thing and still be whole. And tonight, we're stepping straight into one of the most powerful twin myths humanity ever told. A story woven with love, grief, devotion, immortality, choice, and transformation. A story that refuses binaries. A story that honors the people who have always lived between worlds: queer, trans, two-spirit, non-binary, genderfluid, liminal, threshold walkers. This is the story of Castor and Pollux, the twins of Gemini, and the lesson they carved into the sky. You do not have to choose which part of yourself is allowed to live. You can choose wholeness instead. Let's start with something deliciously mythic: a queen, a god disguised as a swan, an egg, and twin boys whose fates were already split before they took their first breath. Leda, queen of Sparta, is visited by Zeus in the form of a swan. She also lies with her human husband, King Tyndareus, on the same night. The result? Two sets of twins, all hatched from shimmering, impossible eggs. From Zeus's touch, Pollux and Helen, immortal, bright, touched by godfire. From Tyndareus's lineage, Castor and Clytemnestra, mortal, earthbound, shaped from bone and breath. Two siblings immortal, two siblings mortal, all born together, all belonging. Even in birth, the myth teaches us identity is not singular, origin is not linear, belonging is not dependent on sameness. Some of us are born immortal in spirit, but mortal in body. Some of us are born mortal in body, but incandescent in soul. Some are born between. Some become. Castor and Pollux came into the world as a living contradiction, and instead of splitting, they intertwined. These two boys grew together like two branches from the same trunk. Castor, grounded, mortal, skilled with horses, tender-hearted, fiercely loyal. Pollux, luminous, immortal, unstoppable in battle, a being whose body carried a spark of the divine. But here's the part most people don't say out loud. Greek myth isn't straight. Never has been. Greek hero stories, especially twin stories, often hold space for intimacy, devotion, partnership, soul bonding, shared identity, and queer-coded love that defies modern labels. Castor and Pollux fit this pattern perfectly. Their bond wasn't casual, wasn't convenient, wasn't just brotherhood. It was cosmic. It was mythic. It was the kind of connection many queer and gender-expansive folks recognize instantly. I know your soul because part of it lives in mine. Pollux's divine nature didn't elevate him above Castor. Castor's mortality didn't diminish him next to Pollux. They balanced each other, one rooted, one reaching, one earth, one sky, one finite, one eternal, one body, one flame, two truths, one life. This is the queer teaching embedded in the story. You are allowed to love without limitation. You are allowed to belong deeply to someone even if the world calls your bond impossible. You are allowed to hold two truths inside you without collapsing into one. Now here comes the crack, the wound. The moment every Gemini child, every queer listener, every two-spirit soul will feel in their marrow. During a battle over stolen cattle, a petty human fight, Castor, the mortal twin, is struck down. Instantly, mortality asserts itself. Fate reveals its uneven teeth. Death takes one and leaves the other standing. Pollux screams. Not a metaphorical scream, a cosmic one. That ancient kind of grief that rips a god open. The grief of losing your mirror, your other, your home, your shape, your tether to the world. And Pollux, immortal, bright, divine Pollux, does something no godson is supposed to do. He refuses heaven. He refuses singularity. He refuses eternity. He throws himself at Zeus's feet and says, I will not live without him. And Zeus, baffled and ancient and bound by cosmic law, says, You are immortal. He is not. That is the law. And Pollux answers, Then unmake the law. This, my loves, is the queerest moment in Greek mythology. A God-born child demanding that the cosmos itself change shape to match the shape of his love. A trans moment, a non-binary moment, a two-spirit moment, a moment of defiance that says, I refuse the destiny you assigned me. I choose the one I feel. And here's the miracle. Zeus relents, not because he wants to, but because Pollux's grief shakes Olympus itself. The gods realize something profound. A single immortal is strong, but two beings choosing each other beyond fate, that is divine. So Zeus offers a compromise. Pollux may share his immortality with Castor, but only if they divide their time between realms. One day, winter, year in Olympus. One day, winter, year in the underworld. And then they switch. They will be neither fully alive nor fully dead, neither fully mortal nor fully divine. A cycle, a rhythm, a partnership, a duality. The first mythic non-binary existence codified in the stars. Pollux accepts instantly. Castor rises. Their lives fuse. Their souls synchronize. Two beings, one constellation, a shared eternity built on love, not hierarchy. And so the brothers ascend into the sky, not as a reward, not as decoration, but as a reminder. You do not have to be only one thing. You do not have to separate your soul into acceptable and forbidden. Your truth can be cyclical. Your identity can be dual. Your body can be reborn. You can exist across realms. You can choose your family. You can choose your fate. The constellation Gemini becomes their final home, a story written in light. 2 stars, twin flames, intertwined destinies, neither identical nor opposite, neither fully human nor fully divine, but whole through their union. This is why queer folks, trans folks, non-binary folks, genderfluid folks, and especially two-spirit people who bridge worlds resonate so deeply with this myth. It's a story of belonging that transcends binaries, a story that refuses to let the world split you in half. Tonight, as the twins shimmer above us, they whisper teachings we desperately need. Duality is not contradiction. It is completeness. You are allowed to carry more than one truth. You are allowed to reject the destiny imposed on you. You are allowed to choose love that defies the rules. Your liminality is not confusion. It is power. You are allowed to be a bridge between worlds. You are allowed to be whole in your multiplicity. Castor and Pollux carved this into the heavens. 2 spirits can inhabit one life. 1 spirit can inhabit 2 lives. Identity is not a cage. It's a constellation. Before we leave this circle, place a hand on your chest. Feel that thrum? That's your duality. Your both and. Your 2 in 1. Your many in 1. Your truth rising. Castor and Pollux offer this blessing. May you never be forced to choose between your truths. May you find the ones who mirror you. May you share your immortality with those you love. May you rise again and again in the sky of your own making. Take a breath. You carry the twins inside you. And sweetie, they're proud. All right, weird ones. Tilt your chin upward with me for a minute. If your sky is clear, you might already see the faint streaks of light beginning their descent. The Geminid meteor shower, the most unapologetically extra celestial event of the year. Most meteor showers come from comets, icy, dramatic, romantic little wanderers. But the Geminids? Oh no, sweethearts. These are born from an asteroid, from stone, from something that said, I refuse to die quietly, and then lit the atmosphere on fire. Grounded magic, queer magic, magic that doesn't fit the expected category. Every December, these meteors blaze through the constellation Gemini, right between our celestial twins, Castor and Pollux, which means the universe is giving us a cosmic drag performance about duality, identity, multiplicity, and the sacred right to exist in more than one way at once. Because if Gemini teaches us anything, it's this. You do not have to pick a single truth to be real. You do not have to shrink yourself to be legible. You do not have to choose a side of yourself to be worthy. The twins hold multitudes. So do you. Most of us aren't contradictions. We're constellations. We talk about duality like it's a flaw, but the truth is, duality is a gift. You can want adventure and safety. You can crave connection and solitude. You can be soft as a whispered prayer and sharp as a broken bottle. You can be a walking contradiction and still be holy. The Geminids streak those truths across the sky every year like a reminder. Baby cakes, the cosmos loves a multifaceted bitch. Astronomically, the Geminids appear when Earth plows through the dusty, rocky grains of 3200 Phaethon. Astrologically, that translates to the universe is shaking glitter onto your identity crisis. Queer folks, trans folks, non binary babes, gender expansive darlings, this sky was made for you. Gemini doesn't ask you to be one thing. Gemini refuses binaries altogether. Gemini is the eternal both and. And the meteor shower, it's the universe shouting, being many things is your power, not your punishment. With Gemini comes Mercury, communicator, trickster, quicksilver poet, lover of every clever twist in the human heart. So if you're rewriting your identity bio for the 9th time, questioning everything you were told about who you should be, suddenly craving a haircut that will cause concern in your family group chat, emotionally processing in a notes app at 2 a.m., blame Mercury. But also, bless Mercury, because Mercury is the non-binary deity of the sky. Mercury is the patron saint of liminal spaces. Mercury is the keeper of doorways, thresholds, transitions, transformations. Mercury whispers, you belong to change. Let yourself shift. Every meteor is a tiny queer act of rebellion. When a meteor streaks overhead, fast, silent, and brilliant, what you're seeing is a tiny ending choosing a flamboyant exit. A fragment of something old saying, if I'm going out glittering. Destruction as illumination, release as radiance, a death that becomes a spectacle of becoming. Tell me that isn't queer as hell. Go outside if you can. Find the darkest place you can manage. A backyard, a balcony, a patch of grass. Tilt your head back. Let yourself feel small in the best possible way. You don't need to make a wish. Just witness. Feel the tug between earth and sky, rooted below, reaching above. That's Gemini alignment. Heaven and earth, shadow and spark. Two truths, one body. And if a raven happens to caw nearby, that's not coincidence. That's the universe doing a little queer eyebrow raise at you. The lesson of the Geminids is that the sky tonight is sending you a love letter. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to hold contradictions. You are allowed to be many things. You are allowed to evolve beyond your earlier versions. You don't have to be the light. You don't have to be the shadow. You get to be the whole damn meteor. Fire, velocity, destruction, rebirth, spectacle, beauty, impact. You get to streak across the sky of your own life however you choose. And the best part, even after meteors burn out, the shower always returns, just like we do. And now, let's head back to the kitchen, darlings. Because after a cosmic lesson in duality, it's only fair we make something that tastes like perfect balance. Rich, warm, spicy sweet, and sinful. It's time for our twin flame cocoa for harmony and healing, and the blood orange vanilla tea cakes that melt on your tongue like a kiss. Take a breath with me, weird ones. In and out. Today, We're stepping into the sweetest spellwork of this episode, the kitchen altar where dualities meet, where heat kisses softness, where queerness flavors everything, and where every stir of your spoon becomes a small act of rebellion. Because if the cosmos is a love story, then this recipe is the moment the lovers finally catch fire. Kitchen witchery has always been about embodiment, the way we take the energy of the week and anchor it into something we can taste, touch, inhale, and become. And for this episode, our queer forward, identity claiming, constellation singing episode, we are crafting twin flame mocha cocoa and blood orange vanilla cloud cakes. 2 recipes, 2 energies, 2 truths that belong to the same story. Just like all of us who have ever lived in the places between genders, between binaries, between worlds, between what we were told we must be and who we actually are. First, the twin flame mocha cocoa, which is fire, shadow, and sensual heat. This cocoa is not cute. It is not mild. It is not for the faint of heart. It is dark as new moon soil and sweet as mischief. It carries espresso's bite, cinnamon's warmth, vanilla's holiness, and ancho chili's slow, smoky heat. The kind of heat that doesn't punch. It lingers, wraps, coaxes, invites. This is a drink for anyone who has ever been told their desire was too much, for anyone who has ever been shamed for wanting more, for anyone who has ever walked the world as both fire and tenderness. These ingredients will make enough for 2, because twin flames, baby. 2 cups of whole milk or oat milk, a half a cup heavy cream or coconut cream, a half a cup chopped dark chocolate, 1 tablespoon cocoa powder, 1 shot espresso or a 1/4 cup strong brewed coffee, 1/2 teaspoon ancho chili powder, 1/4 teaspoon cinnamon, 1 teaspoon vanilla extract, 2 tablespoons brown sugar or honey, and just a pinch of salt. Now you want to warm your milk and cream until steaming softly, not boiling. Add the chocolate and cocoa and whisk until glossy. Then fold in your coffee, ancho, cinnamon, vanilla, sweetener, and salt. Let it simmer for a moment, just a moment longer. Let it thicken like anticipation. Now here's the kitchen witchery spell. Stir clockwise for desire, counterclockwise for release. Then whisper, where I burn, I bloom. Offer the first sip to the part of you that used to hide, and the part of you that never will again. Now we move on to the blood orange vanilla cloud cakes, which are softness, queer light, and tender sweetness incarnate. These little tea cakes are the soft kiss after the fire, the cool hand on a fevered cheek, the femme energy balancing the smoke of the cocoa, the sweetness that refuses to apologize. They're gluten-free, soft as breath, and scented with blood orange, vanilla, and a touch of almond. And yes, babe, we've swapped the eggs for applesauce because accessibility is magic. Here are the ingredients. 1.5 cups of rice flour, half a cup of almond flour, 1 teaspoon baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon extra baking powder since we're switching to applesauce, half a teaspoon baking soda, half a teaspoon salt, half a cup unsweetened applesauce. This replaces eggs if you have an egg allergy. So if you want to, you can use 2 eggs here. Half a cup of melted butter or coconut oil. 2/3 cup sugar. The zest of 1 blood orange. The juice of 1 blood orange, which should be about a 1/4 cup. 1 tablespoon vanilla extract. A half a cup of milk or oat milk. And 1 tablespoon of rice flour for structure. Now, preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Whisk all the dry ingredients together. In a second bowl, combine the applesauce, butter or oil, sugar, zest, juice, vanilla, milk. A bowl that smells like a spell for sweetness without apology. Fold the wet into the dry. Spoon into mini muffin molds or tart cups. Bake for 12 to 15 minutes, just until they spring back. Let them cool. Let them breathe. Let them be soft. Here's the kitchen witchery spell part. Blood orange equals queer courage, chosen family, ritual brightness. Vanilla represents self-trust and self-recognition. Rice flour is fluidity. Almond flour is devotion without ownership. Whisper over the tea cakes, my sweetness does not diminish my fire. Now we come to the ritual of serving. Serve the cocoa steaming hot. Serve the cloud cakes just warm enough that the citrus blooms. Take a sip of fire. Take a bite of light. Let them dance on your tongue like 2 spirits who were always meant to find each other. That's the lesson of this episode. That's the magic. That's the spell. Because you, yes you, were always allowed to hold contradictions, to burn and cool, to want and rest, to be many things, all sacred, all at once. We honor the twins today, Castor and Pollux, yes, but also the twin flames inside all of us, the part that burns and the part that softens, and both are holy. All right, weird ones, come sit with me for a moment at the end of this wild, glittering, uncompromisingly queer episode. Tonight, we walked with Castor and Pollux, not as a story of separation, but as a story of becoming. A story that says the soul is not singular. A story that reminds us that identity isn't a box, it's a constellation. We looked up at the Geminids, falling like celestial drag queens in their final number, and we remembered what the sky keeps trying to tell us. You are allowed to be more than one thing. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to hold multitudes without apology. And I want you to feel that in your bones tonight, because the world loves to demand clarity. Pick a label, pick a lane, pick a version of yourself that makes everyone else comfortable. But the twins don't bow to that nonsense. The raven doesn't bow to that nonsense. And sweetie, neither should you. Take a breath. Hand to your chest. Feel that pulse? That is your twin flame. The 2 sides of you that have always been in conversation. The part of you that stays. The part of you that wanders. The grounded one. The chaotic one. The dreamer. The survivor. The version of you you've already become. And the version you're still reaching for. Not opposites. Not a contradiction. Just you. In your wholeness. in your complexity, in your queer, shape-shifting truth. Tonight's cocoa, with its heat and dark, sweet richness, is not just a recipe. It's a ritual, a reminder that two flavors can dance together without canceling each other out. That fire and silk can live in the same cup. And those blood orange vanilla tea cakes, that's the lesson of softness meeting brightness, the tenderness that follows the flame. Every piece of this episode, the twins, the meteors, the myths, the magic, your hunger to feel seen, it all points to the same truth. You were never meant to be legible to anyone but yourself. So if you've spent years trying to make yourself understandable, tonight, I give you permission to stop. If you've ever felt like you were too much or not enough or confusing or contradictory or hard to categorize, hear me clearly. You are a Gemini sky. You are a meteor shower in slow motion. You are a myth with two names and one soul. You are allowed to be both the spark and the shadow that defines it. This is your invitation to take up space the way the twins do. Bright, bold, and unapologetically aligned with your own inner truth. So as you step out of this episode and back into the noise of your life, carry this with you. Your identity is not a problem to be solved. It is a cosmos to be explored. The world may not always be ready for your fullness, but you were never meant to shrink so it could keep up. Be big. Be many. Be the whole story. And if anyone tries to tell you to pick a version of yourself, smile like a raven perched on a branch and say, "Oh, sweetie, I contain multitudes." Now go sip something warm. Go taste something sweet. Go step under the night sky if you can. Let the meteors remind you. Brilliance comes from burning away what no longer fits. I'll meet you next week, weird ones, in the liminal, in the shimmer, in the magic you were always meant to claim. Wit, wisdom, witchcraft. Thank you, my weird witches, for giving me a little of your time and your beautiful attention today. If this episode stirred something in you, a memory, a spark, a question, a fire, please share it. Spread the word. That's how our circle grows. You can find me on socials at Ravens Lorecast on Facebook, Twitter, and Blue Sky, and at Ravens_lore_cast on Instagram and Threads. And if you've got a question, a story, a spellcraft idea, or just the world's cutest familiar photo, email me at raven@ravenslorecast.com. I really do read them. Until next time, keep your fire tended, your humor wicked, and your heart brave and wide open. This is Raven Lorekeeper, signing off with love, grit, and a whisper of magic on your path.